All right, you guys ready for the medical moment? We had a client last week who brought their large breed Labrador mixed dog, who's about 7 years old, in because he had not eaten for about 3 days. And when we examined him, we lifted up his lip and he was very pale. His refill time was long, meaning the time it took when we pushed his gums when they went white until they went pink again was 3 seconds. So the first thing we think about is he anemic, or does his heart perform poorly, to explain why he's pale. So we did some routine blood work on him, and the blood work showed that his red blood cell count was quite low. He was anemic. His white blood cell count was elevated, and he also had a high number of reticulocytes, which are baby red blood cells that the bone marrow kicks out in response to anemia. So when the body knows that it's sick and having a problem, it'll respond to anemia by making extra red blood cells that show up as reticulocytes. As we listened to his heart and lungs sounded fine. We didn't hear any arrhythmias or problems. To pursue the question of why was he anemic, we took some x-rays, and the x-ray up here shows that he has a pretty large mass in his abdomen. This is his spleen, comes down to the edge of his rib cage with a nice sharp border like it's supposed to, but this white shadow does not belong there. Sometimes when dogs are anemic, they have bled outside their body, in which case the owner would say, hey, I saw blood, but that was not the case here. Sometimes when dogs are anemic, they have bled internally, and there's free blood in their abdomen, but that's actually not the case here either, because we can see the outside surfaces of his organs, you can see the outside of his bladder, you can see the outside of his liver, so there's not free blood sloshing around inside of his abdomen. But he does have this very large mass in the approximate location of his spleen, and it is possible, and in fact it turns out that's exactly what happened, that animals can bleed inside their spleen. So based on this x-ray as well as our physical exam and our blood work, we decided that this pet had an enlarged spleen and it was probably bleeding inside of his spleen. The most common cause for that is a cancer. It's a cancer called hemangiosarcoma, and it's not good news because it often spreads and goes places. But not every big spleen has cancer in it. Sometimes the spleen is big and it's bleeding and it's benign, and that can be a tumor that is not malignant, or it can be from trauma. The dog just slipped and fell and hit his spleen, or sometimes it happens and we don't know why, but here's a big spleen that's bleeding. There's no history of trauma, yet there's no cancer to be found. So with that information, the owner was hoping that we could fix him and solve him, was hoping that it would not be cancer. So we went ahead with our surgery. And at surgery, we found a very large mass in his abdomen that we were able to remove. It was, in fact, hanging off the spleen. As we looked around his abdomen, all the other organs in his abdomen looked normal. We didn't see any lumps or bumps or tumors in any of the other organs. When we took it out, it weighed 7 pounds. What does he weigh? 57? 75. 75. Yeah. So it was about 10% of his body weight was tumor. He did very well after the surgery. Sometimes when you remove a spleen from a dog, even though everything else goes great, there are toxins which are released in the process of the surgery that can result in irritation to their heart. So some of these dogs develop arrhythmias. We watched him very closely for that. He had a few arrhythmias after the surgery, but nothing dangerous, nothing that required additional treatment. He went over to the emergency to be monitored overnight. The few arrhythmias that he had went away, and by the next morning he was eating and drinking and feeling much better. We did transfuse him. We gave him blood transfusion before the procedure. That helped to give him not only red blood cells to carry oxygen, but also parameters to help blood clot. And Bridie donated. No, it was pack cells. So we got them from the blood bank for him. We just got the histopathology back. We were kind of expecting this to be bad news because that would be the most common answer, but in fact it turned out to be a benign tumor. Yeah, so it's really cool. So his prognosis is very good, that we have actually removed the whole thing, solved the problem, and we don't expect him to have any more trouble from this. Yeah, question.
Wasn't it a really small percentage that it was not worth the cancer?
Right. Yeah. The general statistic is 15% are benign, and the rest are malignancies. Yeah. Any other questions about Pooch? All right.